And you should be live.
All right. Are you a fan of scouring Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, P-Car Market? If you are, you have found the right channel tonight. We have two guests tonight. We have Michael Neal from Wrench, and we have Ian from Apex Adjacent. They are joining us tonight. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your daily YouTube car game show, where we predict the online auction results of the most interesting cars on Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, Hagerty Marketplace, and more. It's just like the Price is Right game show. Play along and see if you can beat the nerds. Holy free holies, it's time for a brand new live edition of Bid Nerds. My name is John Polnik. We are coming to you live from the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas. My partner, Michael Deeb in San Francisco, is not joining us tonight because as fans of the show, if you are part of the nerd herd, you know he has a stupid face, which actually means the poor guy is ill, and we are rooting for him. He'll probably join us in the nerd herd tonight. He's got like pus coming out of stuff. I don't even know what the hell's going on, but hopefully he will be joining us on Sunday's show, something like that. Okay.
But he is in the nerd herd now.
He is in the nerd herd. We love Michael Deeb. He's going to join us one way or the other. He's just going to make fun of us while we flail without him. We do have a couple of guests tonight. We have Ian from what do we call your show? It's Apex Adjacent. You have a podcast. Welcome to the studio, the Rami studio. Ian from Apex Adjacent. What's up?
Thank you, and sorry for ruining your podcast.
Yeah, you screwed it up. It's always you. Mental, do you mind maybe shutting the door? We forgot to do that before, and your headphones are on just so you don't walk away from the computer and pull the whole thing down off the thing. Hey, welcome, everyone. We've got a bunch of nerds in the nerd herd hanging out. Do we have Michael O'Neill? He is patched in, but we think we might be having an audio problem. Do we have him in? There he is. We can see him. We got him. We can hear him. Look at that. Yes. All right. Yeah, for those of you who are PCA members, you probably hate him because he is the... Oh, man, was it the blasphemy build? I love it. I love that he's famous for that. Also, very well known from Wrench. He's got it on his hat. I should have worn my Wrench hat tonight. I don't know what I was thinking. Friend of the show. Hey, look at that. He's got the DF hat. Now we're talking. It's like wearing a Def Leppard hat to a Def Leppard show. Michael O'Neill, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. It really helps if you turn your volume up on the Rodecaster Pro so you can actually hear. So that's where I was.
Well, nice work.
Anyway. Pro tip from a pro podcaster.
Literally what I do for a living. But I will say that I think that my gray car is more famous than the Blasphemy build, and that one has a 3.6 Porsche engine in it. So
it is very, very fast. I don't feel too
bad about it.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what the Blasphemy build is, you want to tell everybody real quick because I love that thing. I love it. I want to see it in real life.
I got a shell, a completely purpose-built fiberglass kit GT2 race car shell that had all the stuff on it. And it was built by a father and son team and then abandoned in 1994. And I bought the race chassis that had literally never been outside since it was finished. It was brand new. And it sat in a showroom for 25 years. And I bought it like 4 years ago. And I was like, what am I going to do with it? And I wanted to build my YouTube channel. Yeah, that's what it looked like when I first got it. And I wanted to do my YouTube channel, which is Wrench here. And I decided to do a very blasphemous engine swap by putting a twin turbo Subaru EZ30R flat 6 in it. So that has about 420 horsepower. It's twin turbo. I've got it configured like a 935. Which is, it's there on my Instagram page. Actually, right there, you can see that top, if you don't scroll over, see the configuration of the turbos there on the video, which is much like the 935. And we started actually a year ago, it started for the first time, and it when I tell you, if you close your eyes, it sounds like a GT3 RS. I would not be making silly jokes. It really does sound like a GT3. And the rumor is that Porsche actually designed the heads of that car, because when you pull it apart, there are Porsche part numbers inside that engine.
Well, that wouldn't be the first time that terrible, terrible rumors have started from this show. So we want to continue that trend. Michael,
I have a point of contention. I know this is your show.
Please, by all means, we got to get to the show, but go for it.
I just listened to the 935 episode, and I could not disagree more wholeheartedly with your take on that car, because that is, first of all, there's only 70 of them. You hated it. You thought it was a douche-mobile.
Oh, the douche-mobile. Oh, the Moby Dick car. Yes.
Yes.
I thought, yeah.
That car is not, you don't buy that to shake it out on the track. You buy it because you're an investor, and that car guaranteed will be $5 million plus in a couple of years.
So,
and it's not the third car in your garage. It's the 30th.
I think there's a word for that, and I think it's called douchebag. Last time I checked, that's a total douchebag. That's exactly. Oh, it's an investor. It's an investor.
Stop it. It's an investor. It's an investor car. The fact that car had over 600 miles on it was actually very impressive.
Yeah, it was actually for one of those. Absolutely,
and good for him.
Yep, so, and probably made a couple of bucks. Well, let's get, so that's one. Thanks for watching one of our other episodes. Make sure you put some comments on there and tell us how horrible we are.
I was grinding on a pristine 1987 911, and the guy wanted wide body flares on it, so I've welded wide body flares on it, but I would not have touched it at all. I would not have touched that car with a 100-foot pole, but it was because it was perfect. But now it has wide body RSR flares. So there you have it.
All right, Ian, a lot of Porsche crap going on here, right?
Yes, quite a lot, yeah.
Are you a fan of the Porsches, or are you like a kind of another car brand kind of guy?
I'm a well-wisher of the Porsches.
Okay. I don't know what that means, but...
I wish you well in your endeavors with your expensive cars.
All right, that's a good way to put it. That's a very polite way of saying
if it's a piece of crap Porsche, chances are I've owned it.
All right, well, guys, before we begin our prices right of Cars and Bids, P-Car Market, and Bring a Trailer, just want to give a shout out to a couple of our great sponsors. One, of course, is Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. They are big supporters of the show. If you're looking for classic parts for your classic Porsche, genuine classic parts, not parts from a Subaru, give Porsche Classic a call. They will be able to hook you up. And also, Michael, I know you're a big fan of the fine Swiss watches. Our sponsors, Our Smiths. Have you heard of those guys up in Idaho? They are They do the whole service of fine Swiss watches. If you have a fine Swiss watch like a Rolex or Patek Philippe, you can get them to service. They'll send you a box in the mail. You put your watch in the box. You send it back to Anthony over there. He fixes it all up, makes it brand new, like new, and sends it back to you, and you'll be good to go. Also, if you don't have a fine Swiss watch and you want to get one, they always have amazing stuff in stock. So shout out to our good friends at Our Smiths in Idaho. Okay. So, you guys, if you're new to the show, if you're new to the Nerd Herd, welcome. Thanks for hanging out. What we do is we find the most interesting cars from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites. We have a conversation about those interesting cars, and then we make a prediction as to what we will think. Sorry, guys, we were having a technical thing.
We're gonna let Ian talk real quick. Tell us about Apex Adjacent.
Apex Adjacent is basically Dave and Ian, our friends. I do it with my co-host Dave, and we play games on the show. We do a license plate game where you have to, like, highlights magazine style. We black out a vanity plate on a car, and we give you the text of the vanity plate, and you have to match the vanity plate to the car, which is a lot of fun. You get to grossly generalize people, which is fun.
What's alarming is how accurate they are.
It's crazy how much people tell on themselves with their vanity plates, and you can really easily match them to the car a lot of the times.
Love it.
But yeah.
Love it. All right. So we always start out the show by reconciling our poor predictions from the last episode, which was Sunday. So the first car that we made a prediction on the last episode was this 2015 Alfa Romeo Let's see here. This is a 4C launch edition with just 9,600 miles. This is number 154 of 500 launch edition models. I don't know how big a deal that is. I guess they're numbered, but I just don't feel like these cars are really that special. It's a mid-engine car, little 4-cylinder, teeny little thing. Ian, have you ever driven one of these? What do you think of the 4C?
I have never driven one, but I've been obsessed with them. I think they're very, very cool. And I like the idea of them more than I think probably the execution would warrant.
Yeah, right. I mean, getting in and out of one of these definitely seems like a challenge. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but a lot of things to kind of, I don't know. Michael O'Neill, what do you think of these little 4Cs?
I wish it was like a foot longer because it just seems like such a squished little car to me.
Right.
I just want it to be a little bit longer. I mean, obviously it's got a lot of Lotus involved, at least looking. I don't know. I love the front end. I think the front end looks amazing. And it's very Alfa, and it's one of the things I love about Alfa is they've definitely stuck with that triangle thing their entire existence. I think it's very cool. I don't know. I suppose if you had maybe if that's your 31st car after the 935,
just a slightly less douchey. Yeah, I mean, you're right about the Lotus thing. I think everyone immediately compares it to one of those, even though what Alfa was clearly going for was they were going after the 718. They wanted to take a bite out of Porsche, and I think they just missed the mark because they're just as cool as this car was and as much tech and gizmo whiz bang stuff with that little teeny, what is it, a 1.3 turbo? I mean, it is a really small engine and you get a lot of horsepower out of it, but it just feels like you're not getting as much car as you are when you get into a Boxster. Maybe this one drives better, maybe it does all the things better, other than just feeling like you're getting a car. It just feels like you're kind of settling when you get one of these, although it is pretty damn sexy and it has a lot more radiuses than the Boxster, and it seems like people are really into radiuses these days. From a design language point of view, you're right. Michael, it just, what do you think of that? I mean, when you look at how many different curves and lines and twists and stuff like that, do you like that kind of sensibility, or do you kind of wish maybe they calm the F down with this thing?
I think it's exactly the same as they've done forever. I mean, leave it to them to the Italians to love a good curve, and love an interesting interface. And I'm lucky. I live in Southern California, so every once in a while we'd go to Malibu, and Bruce Meyer would break out. Bruce Meyer's he's the curator of the Peterson Museum, and he's just all he owns is bangers, and so he'll pull this old Alfa, whatever it was, out, and you can just tell, much like with Porsche, you can tell the DNA of that particular car versus like a Corvette, which could not look more different than the early Corvettes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's definitely a DNA thing that happens with Alfa, and I think if you're a fan of the marque, you're totally into it. I'm generally not.
Have you driven one? Have you been behind the wheel of one of these?
Never.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, neither have I. I haven't. I'd really like to get a shot at one because I know I like the Lotus Elise. I know I like the Lotus Exige, but like the Exige is just crazy amounts of performance for such a little car. But then it's paired with an engine that you feel like, okay, it's got a Toyota back there. If I blow this thing up, I'm probably not screwed. I feel like with this little Italian thing, it's like the worst of both worlds. You've got all this power out of this little teeny thing, and if it breaks, it's going to cost you a bunch of money. It's just, it's weird to say, just get the Porsche with the bigger engine and be good. I don't know. They're also, I'm so with you, Michael. They're just too short. They just don't feel like an adult should be in one of these. But okay, enough said. Oh, Ian, did you want to hop in there? It looks like you had something to say.
Yeah, just one other thing. Like the other thing that's really famous about this car is that the front does not open. So there's no frunk. But it is very cool because it was like the first sort of real sports car that Alfa did, other than the 8C, for years,
a fraction of the money too. Yeah.
So it's like kind of like supercar looks on a budget was sort of the idea with this, right?
Yeah, I mean, the 8C is one of the most beautiful cars of all time. And this car being a 4C, I guess, yeah, it's about a quarter of an 8C. All right, so without my partner, Michael Deeb here, he usually starts off the bidding. I came in, I thought this car on Cars and Bids, I thought this was the right platform because it is kind of a weird car and Doug likes the weird cars. I thought it would make about 49 grand. Lane from DWA, Driving While Awesome, and Radwood was our guest on the last episode, and he thought it would bring about $42,000. Mental, you parked it right behind me at 48.5. Ian, what do you think happened with the auction on this thing?
I think I've dipped in and looked at these every once in a while, and I think it's higher than that. I think it's probably closer to 60. I'll say like 58.
58? Okay, yeah, because this is a low mileage one. It's not a run-of-the-mill one, and it is a numbered one, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good call. O'Neill, what do you think? Or did you cheat?
I didn't cheat.
I don't think I told you the cars that we had on the last episode, so clearly you didn't watch the last episode.
No, and I don't even know. I haven't even cheated for this episode.
Oh, okay. Good man.
I don't know a thing about these things, so I'll say 45 grand.
45 grand is a good bid. Mental was pretty confident on these. He's seen them around. I kind of thought with the number, this being a numbered version of one, they typically go for somewhere in the 40,000-ish range, somewhere in that 40, 50 grand range. So Mental, you actually got this one right, but god dang, it was close. Mental missed a Yahtzee by $2. $48,502. So
one of the Nerd Herd bid to keep me from my Yahtzee, because the Nerd Herd.
That's right. Who got the Yahtzee in the herd?
If you look at the herd, they were pretty spot on this one.
See, O'Neill, that's the thing. The Nerd Nation is so much better at this than we are. I'm sure you get the same thing with your fans on your podcast. Your fans are always way more knowledgeable and way better at everything, aren't they?
Well, everything's easier on the sidelines. You know, I would have done this. It's like, yeah, I'll bet you would have when you're right in the middle of doing it. And
I don't know, man. The Nerd Nation, they sit there and like while we're talking about the car, before we even get to our bids, these guys are putting their bids up before us, and they even keep track of it.
Those numbers were the ones that they made at the same time on Sunday. We credit Randy B. He tracks all of the Nerd Herd's bids live as it goes.
You know, I think I'm gonna start cheating. I need to pay more attention to the chat while we're doing the show, and I think I should just basically start stealing Nerd Herd numbers. All right, so what do you guys think of the results of that Alpha 4C? Let us know in the comments below, and we will move on to the next car we made a prediction on last week. This last car, or not last car, but this next car, O'Neill, this one's embarrassing, straight up. There's a reason, though. We call this we say the most interesting car. This is one of Haggerty's top picks of the year for appreciation. I think it was one of their top 10. This is a 2001 Plymouth Prowler with just 16,000 miles, sold by a dealer out of Santa Rosa, California. This car comes in some kind of fancy silver. They had a fancy name for the silver, but come on, it's just
Boomer
Dodge
Silver.
Boomer Silver. I think that's a good call. I'm not even going to, I mean, who cares what the engine is? They only came in automatics. I think it's a 6-cylinder of some sort. This is basically a PT Cruiser with an open top and open front fenders. Ian, what do you think of the 2001 Plymouth Prowler?
I'm having trouble hearing you over the ZZ Top that's just coming through the headphones.
I did think you were a sharp-dressed man when you came.
Yes. But yeah, that's pretty much what I think. It comes with a ZZ Top Greatest Hits CD in the stereo. Right?
I would buy it for that. I mean, that's actually would be the most valuable. That's the most compelling reason I've ever heard in favor of one of these cars. O'Neill, what do you think of the Plymouth Prowler?
I was going to say it comes with a gray goatee. But you just automatically get a gray goatee if you buy it.
And some sort of generic knockoff Punisher sticker with whatever, your political view is.
Oh, we lost O'Neill's audio here.
Goodness.
O'Neill, we lost your audio there, buddy.
Turn the microphone on and off again.
Stand by, everybody. Audio issues with Michael. Hey, he's back. There he is. Oh, wait, we can hear Mike. We've got some big old feedback, buddy.
I think your microphone is there. It is. Yeah, you're going through the computer.
He's
Perfect.
There we go. Sorry.
No worries.
I was gonna say you automatically, as soon as you get in, you look like Paul Tuttle Sr. Like automatically.
Yeah, I mean, does this come with like a season's pass to what is it, Golden Corral? Do you get unlimited shots at the chocolate bar, the chocolate fountain thing?
Yeah, a trunk full of New
I'm
Balance
gonna say
sneakers.
$32,000.
He's just going right for the bid. He's like, he wants to get past.
my
He's like,
bid.
screw this. We're done talking about it. Let's
I don't
move
know.
on.
Am I not supposed to?
You're
do that?
you're out of line, buddy. I said $19,995, and I thought it would fail to sell. P-Car Market, by the way, is where this car was listed, and I don't know how you feel about that platform, but I mean, a Plymouth Prowler on P-Car Market seems like a bad idea. Lane said $17,500. He also thought that this thing would fail to sell. Mental was at $19,000, and so O'Neill, you said what? 30 something? What was it?
32. It was my
32 grand. Okay. Ian, what do you think?
Man, that's
Yeah.
really tough. I think so. I think maybe 19,999.
19,999. Okay. So you're
Because that's how they partied when they bought it.
I guess so. Yeah, that was the year, certainly. And let me ask you guys this follow-up question too. Do you guys think it failed to sell, or do you think it actually sold at those numbers?
I am sure that every Prowler owner is sure that it's worth more than it is.
Right?
So
O'Neill,
I'm
what do you
guessing
think?
it
Do you
failed.
think your number is a sell number, or do you think it goes into the chum bucket, the deal tank? We
Looking
lost his
now,
audio.
I'm
Oh,
not that. I mean, I'm in the ballpark.
Oh, you got like a 30-second
you
delay
got a
on your
delay.
audio. That's weird.
yeah, we're having some we're having some
I have
audio
all the- I
issues.
have all the fancy gear too.
You have all the stuff and the gizmos and the things. All right. Well, here's what actually happened. Go ahead, O'Neill.
Well, I was just gonna say, I was not too far from the ballpark with my guess.
Well, the actual price, let's see here, was $20,000. So I missed a Yahtzee by $5. But the car did go into the deal tank for $29,500. So the owner is expecting to get $29,500 for this thing, which I think is remarkably realistic given kind of your take on the type of owner, right, Ian?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I just want to point out I was $1 off.
That was pretty close, but I was actually, yeah, you were $1 off. You were closer. God damn it. God damn it. This guy comes in here, he dresses sharply and steals my bid. All right. So enough about a stupid Prowler. I mean, what do you guys think of the results of that? Prowler, do you think the owner should have taken the money and run? Should he have taken that 20 grand and bought all the ZZ Top? Or is he smart to just kind of wait till spring when drop top season comes back and people are more into wearing their pleated shorts and white socks? This car is the car for that person. Let us know in the comments below. Okay, we made some predictions on a couple other cars too here. This next one, this one I think will get a little bit more respect from our guests. This is a 1991 Lamborghini Diablo. How badass is this thing from Longview, Texas? This is a 35,000 mile car. Of course, this has the 5.7 liter V12. This is a manual 5-speed car. This is not the flappy paddle. This is not that clunky early kind of, early styles automatic, manuals. This is a real deal 3-pedal car. Of course, it's got a limited slip. Look at this car. It is just gorgeous. It's black. Are you having problems finding that one? Yeah, he's looking for it. We're trying to get the pictures up here, but man, this one, it's black with the black interior, the red piping, the gated shift lever. I mean, this just has all that Lamborghini. Just makes me go, I want this car. Ian, what do you think of the Lamborghini Diablo?
Super rad. I mean, it was in a Jamiroquai video, which is
Hey, we talked about that on our episode. Very good. Yeah.
the
All right. You
coolest
win.
thing ever. And I mean, gated shifter. Yes, that's all you need. I don't know, honestly. Are these worth more, or these are worth less than Countach's, right? Of a similar mileage.
That is generally the case. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, Countach's have really shot up.
Yeah.
They just took off. They went, meteoric, and then it seems like they've kind of come down and plateaued. And I really thought
all
these
those people that bought them had to have the engines rebuilt. To
right. Do we have O'Neill's audio? Is he back on?
Oh, Mr. O'Neill, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there he is. Okay. Michael, what do you think of the Diablo?
I think it's rad. I think it's
Right?
a rad car. I love it. Yeah, I think it's super cool. Consummate. I mean, I hate to say vintagey Lambo, but it's kind of.
Yeah.
I did accidentally click on the link, and I know how much it sold for, which was surprising a little bit to me, to be honest. But yeah,
Surprising in what? Well, I'll wait for you. Yeah, I'll wait for you to take if you thought it was high or low after we kind of reveal what happened here. All right, so I went big. I thought this car would really bring a lot because of just how high the Countages have been. I thought as high as Countages have been, I thought that would just drag the Diablo up. And the Hoovie's garage, Tyler Hoovie, he had he bought a couple of these. He bought a Diablo and a Countach from an owner and sold the Diablo for the same amount that he bought both cars for. And that was fairly recently. So he was able to basically keep the Countach for free. So that's why I thought it would bring $400,000. I thought it would sell at that. Lane thought it was would only bring about $330,000. Mental was with me. He was up there at 408, and the Nerd Herd was where was the Nerd Herd on this one here?
So starting at around, let's see, I think their lowest was 330 all the way up to 398.
Okay, so Mental and I were kind of mental on this one because the actual sale price, this car sold to 43 bids for just $305,000. I say just, that's a heck of a lot of money, but that is half the price of a Countach. And this car, you might actually get where you're going, unlike a Countach. Those are pretty damned unreliable. What do you think of that result, Ian?
I think that's awesome. Like, and my hot take on these is that I think they're better looking than a Countach.
Okay.
Which I know is probably not maybe controversial, but I mean, a gated manual V12 for half the price of a Countach, and probably half the price of a Testarossa. At the same time, like that's
Testarossas are really taking off. What do you
like
so
a good deal.
O'Neill? What do you think of this result? You think that was high or low?
Having no concept of the market, it seems relatively cool. One thing I want to say about this is that it actually, even though it's from like the early 90s, it doesn't look quite as dated as I thought it would in the interior, which is usually the thing that, even interiors that are 6 or 7 years old look really bad. This one's relatively sparse, and it's definitely got some 80s vibe, early 90s vibe, but it's not terrible. You know what I mean? It's not one of those things you go, oh God, I got to change all this stuff to make it look passable at this point.
That's a good point. I wouldn't have looking at that interior just looks like a place that you'd actually want to spend time in. And you're right. The Jamiroquai video just totally immortalized the interior of this car. And I think that video may be one of the reasons why I always wanted a supercar. Because the Countach, if you've ever driven a Countach, they are unpleasant. They are not fun to drive. They drive like ish. You can't see out of the goddamn things. You can't really see out of a Diablo very well either. But they're just, being in a Countach is not, it's only pleasant because you're like, oh my God, it's a Countach. That's the only thing that's positive about it. And then it breaks and you're stuck somewhere and you got to call, AAA or something like that. O'Neill, have you ever driven either one of these?
I haven't. Most of the experience I have with any of this kind of stuff are like watching the Radarosa YouTube channel where the guy restores Ferraris sometimes. And I couldn't believe it. And then Mike from Stance Works, who's right down the road. I couldn't believe how poorly assembled that Ferrari was.
Yeah.
It was a terrible car. This one doesn't look quite as bad, but in comparison to modern build techniques, you look at this and go, I could literally build most of this stuff in my garage with hand tools. It just doesn't look that complicated to me. I don't know. I haven't driven one, but to be fair, I haven't driven a ton of stuff anyway. I'm fairly monogamous to the Porsche world. So the answer to most of those, have you driven that, will be no.
Good tip. I feel like this is the kind of car that, when you talk about a blasphemy build, like the later generations of these, they had the all-wheel drive with the viscous transmission. That viscous transmission, if that thing fails, it's gone. There's no one that can replace it. No one can repair it. The cost of doing so is more than the value of the car, even if it's a $300,000 or $400,000 car. So I feel like one of these is just screaming for the damn LS swap thing, because the car looks so amazing, and there's such hunks of crap that a guy like Michael, it would be awesome if you got a hold of one of those that was just like basically dead in someone's garage that cannot be repaired. Well, fine, gut it and start. Let's go. Let's put a Subaru engine in there. Let's make this thing actually work, right?
I am right here, JP. I am right here. I have a welder and a plasma cutter. I will do it. Somebody buy me one.
We will K-swap that shit.
I think the swap you need to do is put a Fiero engine in it.
Ooh, Iron Duke Diablo. Love it.
There you go.
It's the inverse Fiero.
Is that a real Lamborghini? Yes. But it has a Fiero engine instead of the other way around. That's hilarious. I love it.
Parts of it are.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, how many fake ones have you seen driving around? I mean, they're all over the place.
There are two on our local Facebook marketplace right now.
Oh
actually.
my gosh, Diablos? Really?
The kit. Yeah, they're out in California, but they're out there.
Okay, all right. Well, we might have to get one.
They're not done, by the way. They're not driving.
Yeah. Got to get Rami to blow one up for us. All right, I want Michael O'Neill, and I want an O'Neill mental team up. I want to see this car built. I want this to happen. Let's get the nerd herd to find us a effed up Diablo and get these two yahoos together. I can't believe I got to send you two characters to Top Gun. This is going to be awesome. Let's do it. All right. The last car that we made a prediction on the last episode was this 1959 Volkswagen Type 2 fire truck. This wasn't just a split window hippie bus. This is kind of like this van. When we were talking about it, it really kind of splits two different fan bases. There are people that are super into these old air-cooled Volkswagens, and there are people that are super into fire trucks. Two great tastes that taste great together, or is this truck just gonna burn when at the end of its auction? What do you think of this truck, Ian?
I want it in my life. I don't have any need for an air-cooled vehicle of any sort or a fire truck, but I need this.
All right. Is that because you have lots of fires around and you need to put them out, or you just find something romantic about this truck?
Yeah, I don't know. It just works for me. It does things to my body, and I fully understand it.
O'Neill, you got a lot of cars that I'd be afraid might catch fire. Would this be the perfect, vehicle, like a follow vehicle, just have you followed around all the time? What do you think?
You're claiming I have cars that might catch fire. That's sweet.
I mean, you're jamming a Subaru engine into the back of a Porsche, and you got to run.
Probably reduces the fire hazard.
You
just
got to run all
increases
that
the blown head
the back.
gasket.
It's gonna disconnect. I don't know. I'm making stuff up. What do you think?
Stop it. I couldn't love this thing more.
Wow.
I love it. I love this. I love everything about it. I don't know if I would build something like this, and it wouldn't be fire. It'd be something else that would be utilitarian. But I love it. Yeah, I'm all about it. I think this thing would sell for like 80 grand or something if it were, I don't know, if it were the right person. That's my guess.
Do you think a fire truck enthusiast is more likely to buy this, or do you think a Volkswagen enthusiast is more likely to buy this?
Definitely.
You think the Volkswagen person is the bigger audience? What do you think, Ian?
Yeah, I think that's right. And I also looked at this in advance, but this is from Denver, where I live, and there is a big Volkswagen van community in Denver. With the Tuba Christmas people have a Tuba van, which is a similar vintage to this. So it's a big deal there. So yeah. I think he's right. It's going to be Volkswagen people.
Beautiful looking little van here. I didn't think it would do that well. I thought that the BAT thing just wouldn't find the fire truck fans, and so I was a little bearish on it. I thought I would make it to $31,002, and at the time we were a few days out, and it was only at like 14 grand, so I basically doubled it. Lane was a little bit more optimistic. He said 40,000, and Mental was even more optimistic than me at 45,000. What did the nerd herd say, Mental?
Yeah, Randy's got our right here. So we had started about 32.5 up to 46.2.
Okay, so 46.2 was the high. Looks like, was that because of GERD? Was there? It says there's a high. Okay, so the actual retail value. Yeah, no, I don't know if we call it the retail value, but this thing sold with 42 bids for $53,000. So that is better than any of the nerds said, but not quite as optimistic as O'Neill. What do you think of that result, O'Neill?
I think it's a terrible result. First of all, it bid to 53. It did not sell.
This didn't sell?
It did not sell.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I think
Good
it's
point.
worth 80.
That's why, yeah.
This isn't like
Good catch.
This isn't like a fake car that somebody built. This is the real deal, and it came with the real German uniforms, and it looks beautifully restored.
And a Volkswagen engine powered pump. That's this pump that is right here. Yeah, it's an air cooled gas powered pump.
Centerpiece. This is a centerpiece of someone's Volkswagen collection, 100%, because it's so unique and rare. I think this is worth 80 all day long.
Yeah. Do you think we see this come back at auction, like maybe in the spring when things are a little bit more optimistic and the weather's getting better?
Yeah, I mean Denver's terrible right now.
Yeah, who's going to want to buy this and drive it home, right?
15 years. Yeah, it's no fun at all.
That's why Ian's here in Las Vegas.
Sure. What's that?
That's why Ian's here in Las Vegas.
Yes. Yeah.
Instead of hanging out in Denver.
This thing will sell for more, and I think you'll see this. I think it's just one of the coolest implementations of a bus I've ever seen. So I think it's worth 80 all day long.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that was, what do you guys think of the results of this little Volkswagen fire truck? Should the seller have taken the 53 grand and ran? Or do you think they were smart and going to wait for the snow to melt a little bit and try again in the spring? Do you think they'll bring it back on BAT? Do you think they'll bring it back on Cars and Bids or P-Car Market or maybe even Haggerty Marketplace? Let us know in the comments below. How would you try to sell this thing? Would you try to find fire truck enthusiasts somewhere? Is there a fire truck auction site somewhere? I don't even know, man. That would be something. But we will come back with 4 new predictions. We have 4 new cars teed up, and we have some really damn cool cars this week. When we say the most interesting cars from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites, we mean it this week for sure. So stick around. We'll be back in just a moment. There it is. Hit the commercial real quick. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden, this guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas.
If you don't subscribe to Bid Nerds on YouTube right now, I'm gonna shoot this 997. If you said, wait, that's a 996, you're a nerd. So subscribe to the new YouTube channel, Bid Nerds.
Get those nerds!
Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. All right, we are back. Thanks for sticking around. Boy, Our Smiths rocks, man. I'm looking at their website, the watches that they have in there. I'm always like, God dang it, I don't make enough money. I need to get some. You guys got to check out the oursmiths.com website. They have some really cool inventory. And of course, if you're dreaming online, or maybe you're not dreaming, you want to throw down some cash, go check out Godden Classic of Las Vegas. They always have cool cars. They have a car that just went live on BAT. We're going to be reviewing it on the next episode. They have I want to say a 96 or 97 993 C4S with aero. Crazy low miles. This car is as clean an example as you can imagine. We're going to be talking about that on the next episode. We might even have Steve Teal in the studio for that one. So make sure you hang out with us this coming Sunday live at 6:30. All right, we are back in studio with Michael Neal from Wrench and Ian from Apex Adjacent, and we are ready for some new bids. Let's see here. Switcher Gary has them all queued up, and the first car on our list. Are you ready for this one? This is definitely an interesting car if there ever were one. This is a 1981 Renault R5 Turbo 1. Just gaze at this car for a moment. I mean, who cares what I'm saying? Turn the sound off for a second. I mean, you should if I'm talking anyway. But this car is like, oh my God, this could be one of the most interesting cars, not just that's up for auction right now, but of all time. These little things, you look at this car and you think, all right, this is a hot hatch, right? It's got a turbocharged little 1400cc inline engine. It's got a 5-speed manual transmission. You're thinking, okay, it's from 81. This thing is it's just another hopped up little GTI Volkswagen wannabe like so many cars. But no, this is a hatchback mid-engine. Guys, the motor's behind you in this car. That is, to me, just absolutely crazy. It's rear-wheel drive. This car looks so good if you're into this era of car. This is definitely Radwood royalty. One of the interesting things about this car isn't just all the cool specs and how great the condition about this car is. What's really interesting is, one, that this car is up for no reserve on BaT. So whatever the bidding gets up to, this car is sold, right? Which seems crazy to me in January for any car, really, because I mean it's anyone's guess. They only made like 1,800 of these. This is a numbered car. I can't remember what number it is. I think it's like number 200 or something like that. It's definitely in the listing. This is being sold by a dealer that tried to sell this car previously on BaT just back in November. And the car failed to sell back then. And I think it got bid up to like 140 grand. These things are just absolutely goofy looking, absolutely cool. Ian, what's your opinion of the 1981 Renault R5 Turbo 1?
It's worth all of the money.
All of the money.
All of the money.
That's a lot of money.
It's worth all of the money. It's got
Okay.
rally pedigree. It's a hatchback with a mid-engine rear drive layout. It's the coolest car maybe ever made.
Wow.
I'm obsessed with these. They're so cool. But I think probably it deserves to get at least $200,000.
Okay, well, we're not at bids yet.
Sorry.
But that's okay. So we've got a number from Ian. Okay, Michael and Neil, what do you think of the R5 Turbos?
I think if I were just going to be like, cool, I'm going to collect certain cars, that I would just collect all the Group 4 rally cars. They're all so rad. I love this thing. It's one of the coolest. I mean, just the steering wheel is crazily
The
awesome.
2-spoke thing, yeah.
Oh, it's just so cool and 80s and but it's got so much cool, like if you dig in and look at the engine and stuff, and it's got so much utility to it. It's such a race car, which is so cool. The engineering is awesome. I love it. I think it's just a fierce, amazing car. And like you said, it would be Radwood royalty. Yeah, I'm all in. I love the color scheme. Everything about it is just so cool and so unapologetic. And everything has a purpose. And weirdly, it's like, even though it's a race car, they've done a very nice job making it very streetable. Like, it looks pretty nice on the in and out. So I love it. I think it's amazing.
Mental, what do you think?
Add me to the ever-growing chimes of this thing is amazing. Now, and I love that Michael said it's streetable. And that's a relative concept because there is no nannies on this car. It is all the power. The turbo is not actually, but in philosophy, it's analog because it's either off or it's all on. And it loves to do that like all those old turbos mid-corner in a mid-engine rear-wheel drive car. So you are and it's got the wheelbase of a desk. It is looking to swap ends on you like that. And I love cars that make you pay attention. And all this great pedigree and everything everyone is saying is true. It has also got Bond, because on the Sean Connery, when he came back and did Never Say Never Again, the villain drove one of these.
It's always a good sign if the bad guy drove a car. Like if a bad guy drives a car and then you buy that car, you're doing all right. That's why you never buy a minivan, because the bad guy's never going to drive a Plymouth, whatever their minivan is, a Caravan or whatever. Pacifica, thanks. Exactly.
This thing probably is pretty dangerous to drive, like Mental was saying, but it's probably among the more adorable ways to die.
It's like he's burning to death. Oh, that's so cute. If only that 59 fire truck could get here a little bit more quickly to put out the fire. Yeah, boy, looking at, I was trying to figure out why this thing didn't sell last time around at 140. That's kind of where I thought these were worth, but apparently they're worth a lot more. And one thing you notice looking at the comments on these auctions for this car, for both the old one and the current one, is that the fan base for this car is like knows every last little thing about them. I mean, they know every nut and bolt and screw and everything like that. And it may be a small fan base, but boy, these people are into it. Apparently these things are the nicest steel top ones they're saying are worth like over 200 grand. I don't know a whole lot about the value of one of these other than just the quick, cursory looking at both these two auctions. So I'm going to start the bidding and just say, I think that it makes sense that they tried again, but I think they should have waited a little longer. I think this car should have waited till, at least March, to get another, bite at the apple. It's at 92 grand right now with less than a day to go. This thing's going to be sold to someone tomorrow. Will it get more than the $140,000 that it was bid up to in November or less? I'm going to say less. I think that at the second shot, I don't think it makes the money. I think this thing is going to struggle to get to 130, and I'm going to send it off to Ian. What do you think?
I think it'll go beyond that. I don't know. It deserves to, so I'm willing it higher than that.
You're putting the good vibes out there. I agree. I want it to make the money. Yeah. I just think that winter is just a bad time for something that's just this crazy. My partner Michael Deeb says $159. Before we get to O'Neill's bid, Mental, what do you think?
I also, sorry, I'm pushing the wrong buttons here. So it is a fantastic car. Someone walked into a Renault dealership on purpose with supercar money in the 80s and said, I want one of these. Because when was the last time you gazed upon one of these in this country? I'm going to say it is going to go for $180,000.
180. Michael O'Neill, what's your bid?
It's not going to sell on Bring a Trailer. I'm going to tell you, that's part of my bid. I think it's
hold on. Before you get to your bid, though, this is a no reserve auction, which means it's going to sell on Bring a Trailer. This is unless they fink on the unless they say they take the bid and just don't sell it, which is always a possibility.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think it's going to get bid to then? And not.
So what I read is that the Gen 1 this is an alloy-bodied car versus the steel-bodied car, which makes it way rarer and more valuable than the ones that have already sold. Man, if people know what they're doing, it'll be 180 if it sells, but with no reserve, yeah. I'm going to say it's 150.
150. Okay. So Ian's at 200.
Yeah.
And Michael O'Neill's at 150. Mental, you were at, what was that?
I'm going to will it to 180. I'm willing to be wrong because I want it to sell for 180.
Okay. And let's hear. So what the nerd herd, Gerd, who has gotten like 2 Yahtzees in the last month and a half or something like that. He's at 161.5.
Oh yeah. We've got Sergeant Tom has got 175. Family Guy 5150 says close to 200K. That's not the rules. You got to pick a number on that one. Randy B's at 157. Chris Carbine at 1689. Buddha, just to be Buddha, went 159,001 because he wanted to be Price is Right all over Michael Deeb.
And it is a Turbo 1, so I see where he's going with that. All right, nice work, Buddha.
But he also said just over Deeb. And V12 Smooth's at 171.
171. All right, so we got quite the big spread on this. This will be interesting to find out.
Family Guy did throw something in there. Family Guy 5150 said, real bidders do not bother on a no reserve auction until the last minute. So this will be a fun one to watch close.
That's true. There's going to be a lot of attempted sniping at the very end.
And Bring a Trailer will keep going as long as there's bidding, right?
Sure. Yep. Yeah, it always adds 2 minutes. So, and all the auction sites are that way other than eBay these days when it comes to the enthusiast car auction sites anyway. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty interesting one to watch, given that there's no reserve. I'm expecting some serious drama because if you're the seller, like how much anxiety does the seller have right now, O'Neill?
The seller wants 200 plus. Like you can tell that by the comments.
Yeah.
He said if this was an auction in Europe, this would go for 200 plus all day long. So I think that they're probably shitting bricks is what they're doing right now. I think
I mean,
they're not excited.
Why didn't they call my partner Michael Deeb, who works for Haggerty, and sell this thing at Amelia Island? That's where you should have taken it, because that's coming up in a few weeks, right?
You know, you should just buy it and have it shipped directly to Amelia Island, and then it'd be ready to go, and you could flip it real quick. You'd be the only person in history that ever flipped a Renault R5 Turbo.
You could park it next to your 935 Moby Dick
That car's garbage.
in your douchebag warehouse while you gotta flip that car. All right. Do you think? What do you guys think? Do you think whoever buys it? Do you think that's why they're going to buy it, to flip it, or do you think they'll actually drive it? Does anybody drive this car, or is this thing just going to be hermetically sealed in a museum somewhere?
I mean, I hope it's driven because it's a race car that you can buy, right? That's the whole point of these things, is they were homologation specials. So you could actually drive an 80s era race car on the road. What was the mileage on this?
That
49,104.
Yeah.
Well, that's kilometers, so you got to do the math on it.
I refuse.
Fair enough.
But yeah, sure, drive it. Why not?
O'Neill, you think the next buyer will drive it, or do you think it's going to another auction or just sitting somewhere in a warehouse next to the 935?
I think if the person buys it in the States, that it's mostly ignored, and if they buy it in Europe, it's the hit of whatever car show it's in.
Yeah,
I think that's the big difference. I don't know if it's bought here. Yeah, it'll be at Radwood and cool stuff like that. I think the people know what it is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
In SoCal, people
I think they know
what
whoever
it is.
buys this. It's such a unique car. They have to know what it's all about. And if it sells for what we think, if it sells for 150, they're way ahead on it. They could go and flip it in Europe and make 60 grand tomorrow. Yeah. So I think they would, I don't know, hang on to it, drive it a little bit, do the thing that rich guys do with cars.
Yeah. So the only time I've ever actually seen one of these was at the Phoenix Club 356 Registries swap meet back in 2019 for the Toy and Lit Show weekend. And the Toy and Lit Show weekend is coming up.
There.
Yeah, you remember seeing that one? I think it was blue or something like
That's
that.
when I met Mike Brewer. That was when me and Mike became buds.
There you go. All the greatest people are at the old Phoenix Club. It's too bad they don't do it there anymore. Are you going to be going to the Toy and Lit Show weekend coming up on the 24th? Yeah, all right.
Sure, that's the Super Bowl for us here in the LA area.
I always call it the beginning of official Porsche season in Southern California. It's like when everything starts.
It's a week.
Yeah.
Which it's a good time, because you guys are buddies now, when you interviewed him, to mention that it is the start, because in April we've got Air and Water.
Yep.
Got my tickets. Thank you for the pimp on that this morning, by the way. So you can catch most of the bid nerds at the Air and Water show in April. So yeah.
Most of us will be at the Toy and Lit and wherever they. Have you been to the new 356 swap meet? They do it at, what is it, the Boys Republic or whatever? I haven't been to that one yet. How is it?
Yeah, it's cool. It's bigger, way bigger, and the layout's better than Phoenix Club.
That's saying something. All right.
Yeah, it's cool. It was the Steve McQueen spot that Boys Republic place was the Steve McQueen joint, but. Yeah, man, you got to go there and you got to have your list, and you have your money, and you go in there and buy your parts, and then you spend the rest of the day, eating $14 hamburgers or whatever.
Jibber jab and drink a beer. Yeah. Well, we'll definitely have to hang out there. What do you guys think this little turbo Renault will bring? Let us know in the comments below, and let's move on to the next car. This one, talk about heavy hitters tonight. This car is on Cars and Bids, so Doug DeMero is swinging for the fences on this one. He has brought us boy, I'm getting a little. I'm not going to mention what I'm getting right now, but this is a 2000. Yeah, the desk is all right. The 2007 RUF Rt 12 Coupe. Holy bejeezel! Look at this car. Of course, it's a 6-speed manual. Of course, it's all-wheel drive. This is a real RUF. So, as the W9 VIN, this thing has a Metzger. These are built with a Metzger 996 turbo engine. Of course, it's built to a 3.8 with all the stuff. These have 650 freaking horsepower from RUF. Look at this car, gaze upon it. I don't know, man. That last car, of course the R5 is really cool and rad, but this is such a super car that I feel like you could actually get out and own and drive and love, even though it's a gajillion dollars. Holy cow! I mean, this is just something that, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm fanboying over this car. I love 997s. The thing about, you look at something like this, if you don't know better, it just looks like another damn Porsche. But you start looking at the details, you see that, the intake in the back, the special wing, that little bit of a nose. I've only had the opportunity to drive a few roofs, and they've been air-cooled roofs. I've never driven a water pumper roof, but I'd sure love to get behind the wheel of this one and hope I wouldn't die. Ian, what do you think of the R12 being sold out of Texas by a dealer? This is a one-owner car. It was brought in. It's been stored. It's ready to go, ready for you, ready to get on those apexes and be adjacent to them.
Oh yeah, I'd be very far from adjacent, I would think, in this thing.
Getting sideways real fast, right?
Yeah, I've never driven a roof. I assume that they're terrifying though, from everything that I've read about them. But yeah, it's painfully cool.
Yeah, you look good in it. You got the hair for it, right?
Thanks.
I mean, it's not quite ZZ Top. Michael and Neil, what do you think of the roofs?
I mean, it's one of my favorite 911s, which is the 997, and then they've just taken it and dragged it through the garden. Just gave it everything awesome. So yeah, I think it's amazing. I don't know what else. Weirdly, to my point earlier, the interior does look a little dated. There's just something
right?
about it that's a little, but I mean, that's I wouldn't kick it out of bed for eating crackers kind of thing. So,
right.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I'm all about it. I'm all about it, as they say in Canada.
All about it. Mental. I know you've driven Rami's roof. Have you ever gotten behind the wheel of a water pumper roof?
No, and actually that was going to be my hot take was, Rami, JP and I need you to get this so that we can make a movie about it. And this is, my pants suddenly up tight in the front. This is friggin' and it's not just us, the nerd herd, everyone is just actually taping time to type out the, just one word adjectives of oof. Wow. There's just nothing not cool about this car. Everything about this car is perfect.
Yeah, I have a question about these actually. So do these get sort of the like Gran Turismo nostalgia boost? Because we're kind of in that age of like the Gran Turismo stuff, because Porsche didn't license to video games, and so all of the Porsches were always called roofs. So does that generation like having like nostalgia for roof turbos or roof Porsches, does that like factor into the market at
our
all?
resident millennial Wade from Tech Daily is not in the building tonight, so we would have to ask him. But I think that's a good take. I suspect it does. There's something about this color too. The white is just one of the best colors for the 997. It just sets off the little bit of black, and and it's got the white, the color matched seat backs with white looks so good. The center console, some of the trim is white. It's like you see red cars do this all the time, and it just looks awful. But there's something about white that you can add those accents, and it just adds so much to the car. I mean, there's nothing stopping this car. I mean, that's the thing about 911s in general, is that they cross over so many different audiences. The old boomers love them. The young guys love them because of the video games and the movies. And it doesn't seem to matter if they're air-cooled or water pumpers. 911 is a 911 is a 911. It's kind of maintained a certain design language. Like you said, O'Neill, Corvettes don't maintain that. They don't have that lineage, whereas all 911s do. And this one, just, if you don't know anything about a 911, you're going to look at this car. It's so iconic that you're going to know it's a 911. You may not know what a roof is, but you're going to look at this and go, is that special? And, by the way, Michael, have you ever seen people taking 991.2 steering wheels and putting them in the interiors of 997s? It looks great if you haven't.
I have seen it only because I had a Panamera, and that was going to be an upgrade that I did because I hated my steering wheel in that car.
That's right. You do. You got rid of the Panamera. I remember when you bought that. You stayed at my house.
I got a Chevy Volt to replace it.
All right. Is that more or less reliable? Different story. Another show.
More, and I dig the 115 miles a gallon versus the 4 miles a gallon the Panamera got.
Yeah.
If I had to pick any nits, I don't love the wheels on this roof. I don't love exposed bolt wheels. I don't know.
That seems like it's a good call, right?
It just seems like somebody put aftermarket wheels on for whatever reason, even though I'm sure that didn't happen. I just don't love these particular wheels.
They're very period correct. Yeah, I think it's something weird that like RUF and Gambala and Andile, they all did that. They had the single step deep dish. They don't have the steps in them, right? They'll do a 3-piece that doesn't, it's just like one flat dish. They look so much better if you have like a beveled dish that's more, I don't know, especially if you're going to do rivets. What do you think?
Well, just also I think
would swap those and swap the steering wheel, and that would be what I would do to this car.
And keep them because they're both RUF. They're real. They're real right. RUF. Yeah, I mean it's a one-owner car, so I'm assuming
that came with that car for sure. I just would do something else.
I also just don't think black wheels on a white car usually work, right? Like they just sort of disappear. They just look like negative space, you know?
Yeah, I happen to love the black wheel white car thing. But
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
race car-y to me.
But it's like black and chrome and it. So
yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one because like just put just a slight change of color. Otherwise, it just becomes these just giant empty spots in the center of the cars. You know, just a slight accent, and that really does get black wheels working on a white car.
I think these are swapped, by the way. I'm looking right now. I just Googled RUF RT12, and I don't see any cars that have these wheels. I see much more typical RUF, 5-spoke wheels on most. Yeah,
the actual RUF 5-spoke wheel would look so hot, and they do on 997s. Yeah, absolutely.
They look way better to me.
Does the listing say that it's modified?
That's what I'm kind of looking for right now, and I don't see anything about that. The one thing about the actual RUF wheels is they're surprisingly heavy. Because they're a big, monoblock single chunk of wheel.
According to the initial listing in the ad, it says factory equipment includes a limited slip, 19-inch Superleggeras, carbon ceramic pads, bodywork, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I think the thing to do with this car, if you were going to buy it, own it, and drive it, is to swap the wheels, swap the steering wheel, put them in a box in your garage, and leave them there for the next.
Wrap them in a very thick, cushy, mushy towel.
Yeah, exactly. Don't put them on eBay. Just keep them until you maybe one day sell the car. But why would you sell this car ever? I mean, this is like all the car. If you had a one supercar solution, this could be it, right? I mean, come on. All right, so we've gushed over this car. Now it's time to get to the nitty gritty. How much do we think this car will bring? So I guess I'm first, and I have done no research, and I should have been watching what the Nerd Herd says because they're pretty good at this. Man, I'm gonna go. Gosh, I'm gonna go $450,997.
Type that in right now because none of us are going to remember that, and you're in charge of the spreadsheet.
Well,
tonight.
Luckily Deeb has been on it. Okay, so is he typing that in? Deeb, did you get that? Deeb is in the Nerd Herd hanging out. My partner, who's usually on the show, he has a stupid face, and it's all messed up, so he couldn't be on. No, we are rooting for Deeb to get better. He's got stuff, so he's got to deal with it. He'll be better, I'm sure, by the next episode. He got my bid correct. Ian, what do you think?
Oh man, I'm a little bit in shock from your number. To be honest, I don't know much about these cars, so I can't.
I mean, well, let me tell you this: it's already at $304,000. And it closes tomorrow on Cars and Bids, and it's not uncommon for Cars and Bids to peter out the day before, whereas BAT it keeps going, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 325 because I can't imagine that this is worth 2 Renault 5 turbos.
Mental, what do you think?
Oof, yeah. So on that, I am going to have to say it's going to go for $389,500.
You don't think it breaks 400?
And I'm going to sound like you, and I hate that. I don't think it's the season for it to break 400.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think in spring it gets 5. All right, Michael O'Neill, your turn.
This is just colossally lower than I was expecting this to be. Just from a quick little Google, some of these are selling for $900,000. There was a 17,000 mile one that sold for $900K. This one only has 31 on it.
Let's see here, 31,500.
So
Yeah,
I was gonna go. My original bid, and I'll stick with it, was going to be $739 or $739,000. But yeah, there's only 15 hours left. There's no way it's going to like add another 350 in a day.
well, hold on. That's not. I mean, if it were BAT, we regularly see doublings. 100% increases on the last day. That's not uncommon. Cars and bids, not as common, but it happens. So I don't think you're too crazy.
I'll pare mine down to 539,400.
Okay, all right. You are not the highest bid in the nerd herd. Looks like Family Guy's thinking it's going to be 600, so he's with you. But look, I think the seasonality is a big thing, and we are in a weird time. There are certain cars that are like blue chip cars are still bringing big money, and this qualifies, right? If you've got 600, 700, 900, $1 million to spend on a car, you have the money. You don't really care what's going on with Bitcoin or the Magnificent Seven. You don't care that Tesla just took an ish the other day. You're like, whatever. I got 900 grand. I'm buying that thing because
why would those? What is the economic reality that those things? might affect?
I'm not drinking, so I can't play the drinking game of inflation. Go ahead and hit the button. We have a little drinking game, Michael O'Neill. It's our anytime I say inflation,
should I drink?
everyone drinks. Yeah, go for it. You should have been drinking from the get-go. Everyone should have.
Show's better.
Ian was drinking.
Since the get-go.
I have been on
I have
Coke
absolutely
Zero.
been drinking since
Yeah,
the
good
get-go.
man. You guys are all smarter than I am. I don't have my partner Michael Deeb, so I have to actually pay attention. Can't get all drunkered up on my own show, which is what I like to do. Yeah, but I mean, look how bad this is. Imagine if I were impaired.
You're a very good host, JP, and I'm very critical of hosting, but you're very good at it.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying my
Oh,
best.
I feel warm and cozy in these hands. I feel warm and cozy.
Just to bring us back to it, right as we're about to move on to the next car, Randy B throws a 601 into the bid.
Oh, Randy's my guy, man. He's the one I usually cheat off of, and he didn't post a bid. Thanks a lot for going late, making me look bad, Randy. Jeez Louise. All right. All right, guys, let us know what you think this a magnificent roof will bring. Let us know in the comments below. And we spent a lot of time on that roof, so we got to pick it up a little bit. Thanks for bearing with us out there in the nerd herd, guys. This next car, this is the real reason why Michael Deeb isn't here tonight, my co-host, my normal co-host and partner. Michael Deeb, as you all know, works for Hagerty Marketplace. He does represent cars. Hagerty Marketplace does not sponsor this show yet. That should happen. But for the record, they do not. Michael Deeb is representing this car on Hagerty Marketplace. This car... Okay.
All right, before you introduce it,
Yes.
and I'm going to jump in here. If you see this car and you don't feel damn proud to be an American, you are wrong. Done.
Fair enough. This car is my personal vintage. This is where did it go? I lost it on the. Okay, so this is a 1971 Ford Ranchero GT.
Ka-chow!
Splat out. These were built. Aren't these built on like a Gran Torino or something like that?
They actually went through a variety of chassis, the Fairlanes, but it was usually their big car wagon chassis. Yes, and this one is using the Super Torino front end on it.
Got it. And these have the big, what is it, the 351 Cleveland V8?
You could get these, depending on the lineage, all the way up to 429 Super Cobra jets.
Okay, I know this one has the. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this one has the 351 V8. I assume that's the Cleveland. Did they make
It
another?
is the 351 Cleveland because they have the 341 Windsor, which was made in Canada. The Cleveland is the big block. The Windsor is the bored out 302, and this is a factory 4-barrel, which you would think would be more common, but because you could just just ordered these cars back then, but it was the beginning of the gas crunch. So it's very rare to see these cars equipped like this. And it's a survivor car. This thing is so great. Oh, this is so awesome.
Yeah, it's like one family owned. It comes in that kind of baby-ish yellow. I'm pretty sure that's the technical term for the color. I had to drive... What was the wagon version of this car back then? And there was a summer where I was like pretty down and out, and I had to drive a wagon with the woody side, and it had the 351 Cleveland. I was looking at the dashboard and the pictures of this, and it totally brought me back to some really bad memories.
Yeah, they had the Torino
Country
wagons,
Squire. That's what it was. Country Squire. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was in the same terrible color. But you gotta love the fact that this family has kept the car in the family. It still looks great. It's in great condition. Michael Deeb, of course, wrote this ad. Clearly, he didn't use the Chat GPT. He wrote excellently. He started off with the "It's more than a car. Look again. It's more than a truck. It's the Ford Ranchero." Proclaimed the Ford's period marketing. That sounds so factory Ford back then. I mean, he also mentions in here that where did he say something about how this car with that big engine, you could kind of haul ass and keep up with some sports cars at the time. You could keep up with the Mustangs, but you could also have a bunch of stuff in the back. I was going to say have a load of Costco pretzels or something like that, but Costco wasn't around back then. What do you think of this car, Ian? Does this just make you go, or are you excited about it?
I had a haircut fairly recently, and before the show, Mental bought me a Modelo, but I find myself with a mullet and a Natty Light, and I just feel like that's what should happen with this, and I need it, and I need to just haul a bunch of Natty Light around in it.
I'm sorry, but I've got to disagree, as 1971 is way pre-mullet. Mullets weren't around till the 80s, guys.
But the person who still owns this in the 80s 100% has a mullet, right?
All right, I stand corrected. Okay. Michael O'Neill, what would you carry in the back of this Ranchero GT? You've got a, what did you say? You have a Chevy Volt? This car seems like the car for you. It's got all that room and space and Porsche parts. Come on, man.
I would carry Porsche body panels and maybe Subaru engines in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. I love it.
But, I grew up with one of my best friends in high school had a El Camino. And so I spent a lot of time in a car very similar to this growing up. One thing I'll say about this particular car is that it's a survivor, meaning this has not been restored. This is just how it was. And that is a 52-year-old car that's in pretty phenomenal shape. Probably in better shape than
you just
me,
told everybody how old I am.
Yeah, exactly. So, at least in the Porsche world, the cars that are survivors are worth more than the restored versions of that same car. So I think it's a super cool car for a very specific person that probably has memories of driving to the prom or something in this car.
Drive-in movie, yeah,
or something. You know what I mean? I think this is a sentimental car, and probably one of the cooler cars you could go pick up some mulch at Costco with.
Mental.
At Home Depot.
You need this car, right?
I really, really do. Things I would carry. Spare set of tires, because I would go through them every week, and I would be rolling around to the local Catera and have them swapping those out all the time. Look at this dealer installed air conditioning, and this is one of the best things on here is there's no automatic climate control. What you have are 3 temperature settings: off, highway, city. That's it. Those are your temperatures on this. The radio plate right behind there, that thing has it is holding an 8-track. You put an 8-track in there because you can see the 8-track light read down there. So this is where you get your electric light orchestra 8-track and just jam. This car has history and story because it's a family-owned car. It's not going to sell for great money, but someone is going to get something really, really cool. And because I always tie it into a movie, because I am also a nerd, in the famous Gumball Rally, when the 2 girls are driving through Oklahoma in their 911 Targa, the 2 guys that are bored and chase them down do so in a Ford Ranchero big block. And the girl says, if you catch me, you can have me. And then they caught them. And later on in the show, they're having to apologize. One's having to apologize to the other for having to spend the night with the guys and the Ranchero who did in fact fix their Porsche, because yes, this thing is amazing.
Mental, I just want to take one quick issue with something that you said, is that I think ELO is one of them foreign bands. And
You're right. This should be Ted Nugent live, Peter Frampton, just something. You're right. I missed that one.
Maybe Supertramp if you're on a date.
Boom. Yeah. Yes. And when it comes to making out, always play side 2 of Led Zeppelin 4.
Family Guy. Go ahead.
One thing to note is there's going to be a 2024 Ford Ranchero, and that may boost the sales of the early 1971.
Did this guy bring it too early? Boy, he may have missed an opportunity. Is that an opportunity for someone to make money on flipping a Ranchero? Who'd have thought that could happen? It's time for the bids. I have to start. I have no freaking clue what this thing will bring. I could have called my partner Michael Deeb and said, hey, what's the reserve on this? Does it even have a reserve? Let me look. I don't know the platform super well yet to be able to
Right now
find
it's sitting at $8,500 and it is no reserve. So this car is bringing its story to someone else.
Someone is going to go to the drive-in movie theater and grow their family in the back of this bad boy. This thing closes on Friday. It's at $8,500. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say, I don't know, $11,552. Did you get that one, Michael Deeb? I'm going to pass this off to Mental. What do you think it's going to bring?
I want it to bring more. I like the Renault R5. I want it to be the most valuable thing on here, but I know that it's not. So I am actually going to say 10.5.
10.5. All right, send it to Ian. What do you think?
I like the idea of taking it to the drive-in movie theater, and I think that maybe the best title for a memoir that you could write would be like "Finger Banged in a Ranchero."
And the show goes off the rails. Yeah,
sorry,
very nice. Yeah.
I'm gonna will it to 14.5.
14.5. Michael Deeb says there is no reserve. I wonder if our numbers would make the seller happy. Michael O'Neill, what will the Ranchero bring? What does your crystal ball say?
I think it's a $15,000 car in the spring, but
True.
right now,
Nice
I think
move.
it's
Nice
just
move.
under 12. You basically stole my bid, so I'm gonna totally.
I had a 5-digit bid. What do you mean I stole your
Just
bid?
put $1 on the end of it. Price is right, man.
I swear to God, I was going 11,539.
Yes,
Now I'm going
do it.
11,575.
You could still go 11,539. Okay, all right.
But I do want to say this real quick, and we'll get off this thing, guys, I promise. But if you take this to the drive-in movie, you have to back it in, have your 2 lawn chairs in the back of it with a cooler of Natty Light between
Mattress, bro, mattress.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hit the IKEA on the way in, and heck
Now,
yeah.
Ranchero's a bumping, don't come a knocking.
There we go. What's interesting is, with the exception of Jem, we are all well under the Nerd Herd, actually. And then Sergeant Tom says 10.5, which was my bid. I beat you to it. But anyway, the Nerd Herd is all the way up to 11, 12, and we've even got a couple of folks that are saying 14.9 out of the Gerd, and he's got his Yahtzee
Gerd
cred.
is the guy, man. He's the ringer. He's like he's in the biz, man. He knows. We need to get him here as a guest one of these nights. Okay, what do you guys think the Ranchero will bring? Put it in the comments below, and let's move to our last car of the night. We have just we've had hitters tonight. This last one is a little bit more, I don't know. I'm just going to get to it. It's a 1985 Toyota 4Runner, 5-speed manual. This is a 4-wheel drive truck on Bring a Trailer. This thing is really, really clean. You don't see them this nice, of course. This one has a 2.4 liter 22RE motor that is the inline 4-cylinder that is basically indestructible. The guys from Top Gear tried to destroy one of these and they couldn't. This is, like I said, the 5-speed, so this is a 3-pedal car. It just looks like it's in really, really nice shape. It's in California, Moreno Valley, California, so I think that's up north somewhere, I'm guessing. If Michael Deeb were here, he'd be able to tell us. It has Washington plates on it, which is where I'm from originally, so I wonder if they're trying to, duck the emissions or something like that would be the thing that I'd be a little bit worried about on this one. But this truck looks really, really clean, and I wouldn't think that it wouldn't pass emissions. I mean, you can pour sand in the engine and they'll run on like Coca-Cola and Diet Pepsi and antifreeze mix if you just pour that right into the fuel tank. This one, I mean, the only thing that's jumping out at me looking at these pictures, it's got one of those dash covers, and if my partner, Michael Deeb, were actually here tonight, him and I agree that whenever you have one of those carpet dash covers, it always scares you and makes you think that, is the dashboard cracked up? And that's one of the things that always turns me off on. I don't care how nice a car is. If it's got a cracked up dashboard, that is always a killer. But everything else looks really, really, really straight and clean. It's roll up windows. This is just as basic a Toyota as you can imagine. This is an apocalypse car. If the world ends right now, you will have transpo. You could have I love these too. I love these first gen 4Runners because that top comes off on the back, and it doesn't have a full convertible feel to it, but you can take that whole thing off. And the guys in the back.
There's a shot of the dash, JP, right there with
without
the dash cover off of it.
Wonderful. No cracks.
No, it does have the other ugly Velcro on there, but yeah, I feel like that was probably a protective measure.
Yeah, a little bit of goo gone. You can get rid of that Velcro. And so it looks like that dash cover has preserved the interior. This thing appears to be all stock. It's got the roll bar. The only thing that looks like it's not stock, well, I mean, obviously the original tires wouldn't be still around. It's got some kind of modern knobby looking tires on the really cool steely wheels. I think maybe personally the tires are maybe a little too aggressive for me. But other than that, this just looks like a really darn clean version of this era 4Runner. Ian, what do you think of the 1985 Toyota 4Runner?
So I live in like 4Runner Central in Denver. People love these things. You see every generation of them where I'm at in all sorts of states of disrepair.
Right.
And yeah, I think this thing's going to go for like big money. Like the baller move here is to keep this as your Aspen airport car. Where you just park this at the airport, and when you fly in your private jet, you take it to your little mountain retreat in Aspen. Yeah, I think this thing will go for a lot.
Mental, what do you think of the little 4Runner?
It's interesting when they made this generation, the 4Runner. These were not considered fashion accessories, which, as Ian will agree, a lot of people buy 4Runners to be seen in a 4Runner. These were bought by people who use them for their intended purpose. So to see one in this condition is just so rare with 81,000 original miles. It's incredible. I mean, you've got just a couple of time-related things here, but even the side panels on this one, there's no door dings, there's no rock scratches. This is just an absolute amazing time capsule of a vehicle. It reminds me of the Hilux that the guy in Reno was rebuilding. This thing is just fantastic. I love it.
Michael and Neil, you want to climb in the back of this bad boy and live there forever, or what do you think?
I'm going to bring the same girl I brought in the Ranchero to drive in the 4Runner.
You're getting a second base in this one, unlike the Ranchero. She's going to be like, I don't know.
Let's give me a little more credit than second base. But,
second date going camping.
I love it, man. This is a very sentimental car for a lot of people. I think this was especially a sort of a mid '80s car. I think anybody again who's my generation that really grew up in the 80s has a real soft spot for these kinds of cars, especially if you were a outdoor person or a surfer or something like that. This was like the dream car for you. And this one happens to be just in incredible shape. So I think it's going to do really well.
You know, Mental, you said, I've got to take issue with what you said. I could not disagree more that this car absolutely, in fact, was a fashion statement back then in the 80s. These were the most fashionable vehicle I think you could get other than a sports car, because SUVs did not exist. There was basically, you had Grand Cherokees, or, Grand Wagoneers. That was the car that people had in Aspen or in Maine or something like that. And you had Blazers and Broncos, but they weren't called SUVs. Those were just trucks with room in the back. When the hard body Nissan Pathfinder and the Toyota 4Runner came out and hit the ground at the same time, this was like, wait a minute, this isn't just a pickup truck with a canopy. What were you going to say, Ian?
I was going to say that I think that the people who were concerned about status had Land Cruisers. Right? Instead of the 4Runners.
Yeah, nobody had. I mean, yeah, Land Cruisers were around too, but it was like, this was slightly smaller. It was more sporty. Look, can you bring up a profile shot of the vehicle for me, Mental? Oh gosh, my big fat head is in the way. The specific thing I wanted to show. Is it possible for you to move my? Oh, there you go. Thank you. That'll work. Okay, so you see that back window?
Yeah.
How it's angular, and how you have those two lines that are parallel with one another. Let's go like that.
Very Nissan NX.
Well, yeah, but this was before the Nissan NX. When did these hit the ground? 83, 84, right? That was like that. Usually you saw trucks with a canopy and it was basic. This thing looked like a spaceship. It was like, oh, wow, is that the space shuttle? Did NASA design the top for this damn truck? I mean, it was like everyone was going freaking ape-ish over these things. Even my dad wanted one. My dad was the most utilitarian, most boring guy. He didn't want to spend any money on anything, much less a car. And when he saw one of these, he was even thinking about getting one. I mean, it was just, and the fact that you could climb in the back and save gas, and they went anywhere, and they were super reliable. I mean, in the 80s, gas was kind of expensive, and my dad had a Blazer, a big K5 Blazer, and that thing just sucked fuel like crazy. All the yuppies. This was the yuppie car in Seattle, Northwest. Like O'Neill, like you said, the surfers, the active people. In the Northwest, it's all people that want to go camping and hiking and scuba diving, and because of that, they all got filled with ish in the back. They all just got the living crap beat out of them because people actually use them.
And that's why I was saying, in Georgia, this would be towing two dirt bikes and they'd be sleeping in the back. No one bought these to preserve. The yuppie mobile in Atlanta was an E30, and they all got bought to be taken care of, and people bought these to use them, and they survived. They just don't survive this clean.
Yeah. But it was the beginning of the era where trucks were status symbols.
Yeah, for sure.
Prior to this, if you bought a Nissan or a Toyota pickup truck, it was because you couldn't afford an F-150. Or you know what I mean? I mean, that was kind of the general consensus of people that didn't understand the value proposition. The people that actually bought them knew what they were doing, but I think that most people just looked at it and thought, whatever, that's just a cheap Japanese truck. Okay, so let's get to what we think this thing will bring. We all agree how nice a version of this, or how nice an example of a 4Runner this vehicle is. Do we think it'll bring the big money? It's got 3 days to go. It's already at $16,000. It's weird because the pickups of this era seem to be doing really well. Like if this were an 85 Toyota pickup truck, single cab or whatever, maybe an extra cab or something, an SR5 with same exact condition, I'd be like, man, this thing could bring $40,000-$50,000. But the fact that it's a 4Runner, oddly enough, I think is going to hurt it. So I'm going to say that this thing's going to bring $39,000 and pass it on to Ian.
Yeah, I think in a just world, this would go for more than a Grand Wagoneer because it's an infinitely better car. But I think you're probably right. I think it's probably going to go for like $35,000.
Mental, what do you think?
Given that it's cleanness and it's just even among the nerd herd, stroking the nostalgia button, I'm going to say it's going to go for 31.7.
31.7. All right, we've all given our bids. It's passed on
did we get
to Michael.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Can I get to it? I was saving the best for last.
You said we all. I thought he was one of
except for my guy, right. Michael O'Neill, who we were saving it for you.
Total afterthought over here. So here's the thing. This thing has a ton of momentum on Bring a Trailer. It's got over 100 comments. It's got 16,000 of a bid already, and there's 3 days. So I think it's going to really go well. I was going to say like high 20s, but I think it's really going to be like, again, timing wise, not amazing, but I'm going to go 33.9 on this.
Nice.
I think it's going to do. I think it's going to do great, and I think it's a killer car. I think it's awesome.
Do you agree or disagree that if it were a pickup truck, that it would bring more?
No, disagree.
You think that the fact that it's a 4Runner will make it bring more money?
I think this has a ton of nostalgic value attached to it. I think there's really something about this. Everyone's got a story of somebody a friend or someone that had this car.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it probably more valuable to this particular group that has probably a little more expendable income than some.
But for this market, though, the equivalent Toyota pickup truck gets the Back to the Future boost, though, right?
Yeah,
So like that's part of it too, right?
Yeah, I don't know why the pickups seem to bring, like in general, like the data doesn't support what you're saying, Michael. Even though I think I have to agree with you. I feel like people were more enthusiastic about the 4Runner than they ever were about the pickups in period. The pickups were cool, but everyone wanted a 4Runner. Yes, Michael J. Fox definitely brought the value up of those pickups for sure. And the Radwood factor has definitely helped. I think maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that there's so many 4Runners on the market. It's not like there's a shortage of these. You can go out and find one. You just can't find a nice one like this because they've all been beaten to hell.
This one's really killer.
Yeah, I don't
to be a great example.
I don't remember seeing one this nice in a long time. Yeah. We've seen really, really nice examples of pickup trucks, but we have not seen this clean an example of the 4Runner. And the same goes true. There's a lot of these cars that got beat to hell. We talk about Scirocco's or, other Mark II Volkswagens that, or 944s, vehicles that were cheap for so long that cheap people got a hold of them and just destroyed them. Yeah. And 4Runners and Toyota pickup trucks definitely fall into that category. So to see this one kind of preserved as well as it is, I don't know.
Well, and I was going to ask, actually, because you guys are the experts.
Now that's the funniest thing anyone said tonight.
The seasonal dip that you see during the winter for collector cars, does that hold as true for stuff like this? Or like during the winter, because you could actually conceivably still use this in the snow and it would probably be better than what you have now. Does that not hurt as much for these sorts of cars?
I mean, it's a good question, right? One would think that this is the vehicle that if you're going to buy an enthusiast vehicle, get one that's got all-wheel drive. I mean, you're from Idaho, or not Idaho, but Colorado. If you were in the market for a classic vehicle, would you be buying a convertible or one of these?
Right. I mean, if you want to be the raddest person showing up to a ski day at Tahoe, there you go, right? Yeah. That's what you want.
Yeah, if you've got a flashback scene in Succession or whatever, they're going and finding this car.
Yeah, you're gonna get your neon ski suit.
Yes,
right, and then do a 80s ski movie recreation on the slopes.
Love it. Looks like my partner Michael Deeb has given up on the on keeping notes for us, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch this and fill in the spreadsheet for everyone. This has been a lot of fun, you guys. Ian?
Yeah.
What do you think of the show? You going to come back?
I would love to, yeah.
All right. Yeah. Michael O'Neill, you've been slumming it with us. You having a good time?
Love it. I haven't done anything like this, and I've been on hundreds of podcasts, so this is cool. I appreciate it.
We're trying to do something a little different here. We
awesome.
really do appreciate.
Way out of my expertise, so that's I have no idea what stuff costs, and I just weld.
Yeah, but I mean, isn't that the point, right? I mean, it's like you watch Price is Right, and I don't know how much a box of rice-a-roni is, but that's the fun, right? You just, play along. How much is a washer and dryer? I don't know. You put the number in there, and you have a good time. And I think that's why the Nerd Herd shows up and keeps coming back. And really, again, I can't say enough about the Nerd Herd. You guys just make this so much more fun. I've been watching your comments all night. I appreciate you guys all bearing with me, not having my partner Michael Deeb. who usually does all the homework. So I'm trying to keep up, and we sure hope Deeb gets better and feels up to being my co-host here this Sunday for the next show. And Michael O'Neill, where can we find you when you're not third nerdin'?
If everyone goes to wrench.com/YouTube, wrench is spelled R-E-N-N-C-H. I'm looking in my reflection. R-E-N-N-C-H, wrench.com/YouTube. I have a bunch of vintage Porsche stuff on my channel, including building the Blasphemy build. I have a couple of great time-lapse videos if you guys need to catch up with the project. It's so cool. It's so fun. Right now we're doing like 3D printed active aero stuff for the Blasphemy build. I think it's super fun, and I hope you guys dig it. And yeah, look at that. That video has 1.3 million views. So
congrats, man. You guys just
what's going on in the world.
You're just killing it over there. And there's always, you got cool merch too. You've always got products that you're designing and making. Yeah. There's always limited edition stuff. So definitely check out Wrench, you guys. Wrench, you're welcome. Thank you. Wrench is R-E-N-N-C-H, Ren as in like Ren Sport Wrench, right? That's the idea?
That's right.
All right. And Ian, where can we find you?
Yeah, we're on all the podcast places and YouTube, Apex adjacent. You can join literally tens of other people in watching us every week. And then we can relate. Yeah, we do some other like random videos. Like we did the one up there is a little video about a Toyota Hiace, which was a lot of fun to make.
That's fantastic.
Of course, it goes to commercial. I apologize, but I did.
Tom Brady was in it. That's so cool.
Yeah, Tom Brady.
Wow.
Yeah,
you guys have a budget.
Tom friggin' Brady.
That was a big get for us, Tom Brady.
Turns out Tom Brady, big fan of JDM campers. Yeah. So.
I thought he only rented from Hertz. What the hell, man?
This was like a little Wes Anderson.
I just subscribed to your pod.
Yeah, this is a little Wes Anderson tribute.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, Wes. All right, right on. Mental, where can we find you when you're not nerd herding?
We are Everyone Racers, and tomorrow morning will be our new episode that we are talking about, and it is upgrades you can make to your race car's roll cage now in the off season. You've got the cage, you're safe. Now let's start thinking about some comfort and some design issues, how to expand those door bars, things like that. So that's what we're talking about over on Everyone Racers.
You're not going to have any time for that. We're going to be putting, a Subaru engine in a Diablo. Remember you and
absolutely, yes, we are down. We are totally iron duking. We are going to iron duke. My buddy Jeff Hank and I. We're going to get a 4-cylinder Fiero engine right into the back of a Diablo VT. It's going to be frigging awesome.
I think the word you're looking for is bitchin'.
Is it a podcast?
Yes, bitchin'. Yes. Everyone Racers is a podcast. We focus on the world of amateur endurance racing. So, and our thing is everyone can be a racer, even you.
Very nice. All right. And of course, Derfasa Nation, we were publishing a bunch of old new stuff. It's kind of like, what do they call when those pickers find new old product? Isn't that what they call like new old stock? Yeah. So we've got like some new old stock, some of the films that we made for the Porsche Road Trip TV show that was on Pluto TV that have never been on YouTube are now being published. So we're going to start doing a bunch of new stuff.
I've got one right here.
When you spend weeks on the road by yourself driving a classic Porsche across the country, your mind can wander.
That's why he kicked me out.
You guys can watch that.
I was actually having that conversation with Ian beforehand. That's why that's why I had that one ready to go. Don't be a cabriophobe,
Michael. We need to make some new stuff with when the Blasphemy car is ready. Can I make a film on that?
Ghost? It's a classic. All right.
All right. I mean, let's do a twofer. Let's do both.
I'm just saying you already shot the Gray Ghost
That's
one.
True. That's true.
I don't know whatever happened to it.
We
did it in Monterey.
We did shoot that in Monterey. Did you ever see the show? It's in the show. It was in the whole film wasn't in it.
Told me about it.
The Pluto TV show.
Right.
We'll talk offline. All right. You guys can you guys can definitely check out Derfasa Nation, check out the films there. We appreciate you guys hanging out. Oh, also check out Guys Custom Bracelets. Guys, that's GYX Customs .etsy.com. You can get Bid Nerds merch there, and you can also get your custom made bracelets that match either your watch or your car. Paint to sample beads made by a local artist. Every one is custom made. Guys custom bracelets, and you can also get Der Fascination merch there as well. So check that out. Yeah, we need to make some wrench bracelets.
You know,
Go.
Valentine's Day is coming up, and there is a lovely selection of handmade artisan gifts for the special lady in your life.
That's true. She's now making women's stuff too, and yeah, lots to check out there, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you Sunday live. Bye bye.
Nerds! Get those nerds!